midweek wrap-up, where as per usual, shit is flippy and exciting.
Yeah.
On NXT and Lucha Underground.
You know, I'm always thankful for the midweek wrap-up, especially after a kind of a meh week we had.
Yeah.
Like, TLC set standards so high, and then Raw and SmackDown kind of fell flat.
It was like if you have a sandwich, but you're making a sandwich just because you know the bread you have is really good.
Yeah.
And you just gonna throw whatever's left in your refrigerator after Thanksgiving into the sandwich.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you just have like the really good, like the Hawaiian sweet rolls as bread. That's what this week was.
But there was that one thing you're like, man, this whole sandwich would have sucked if it wasn't for this one thing. Let's talk about NXT first, which is like partially back at Full Sail with a not at Full Sail main event.
Yeah.
We started off with the tag team celebration of DIY going out into the crowd. High fives. I think Ciampa kissed somebody on the forehead. Just showing off the belts, getting ready to just soaking in the adulation from the crowd. They were about to say something.
They didn't even get one word in.
No, because then Paul Ellering decided he wanted to talk as he came out with the Authors of Pain, saying that the next chapter is going to be written by the Authors of Pain and it'll be entitled the NXT Tag Team Champions. But the Revival reminded everyone that they do indeed get a rematch.
Yeah.
And then the Authors of Pain decided to beat up the Revival, or at least shove them down, and they kind of like scooted around ringside. So we're starting to get a lot of attention around the tag team titles because obviously the Revival get their rematch, but the Authors of Pain won the Dusty Classic. So
which would imagine you'd put them right in line for the titles.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually did find out later in the show what William Regal plans on doing for this. He's actually making a match for January 11th, the edition of NXT. The Revival will get their rematch against DIY. Now, the winner of that team will go on to NXT TakeOver San Antonio, which will be just before the Royal Rumble, and they will defend the championships against the Authors of Pain. We also found out that William Regal's starting a brand new tournament to decide who's going to be next in line for a championship match once the issues between Samoa Joe and Nakamura are figured out. The first person who actually gets entered into it is Ty Dillinger.
Yes.
Because he's actually there to, I guess, put in his resignation, since he said that if he couldn't beat Samoa Joe last week, that he'd just leave. And so he's about to say this, and Regal's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. I wanted you to be the first person in this new tournament that I'm putting together." And then he's like, "Oh, but you had something you wanted to say?" And he's, "Nope, not at all." And he's like, "All right, cool. I'll see you in the tournament." So yeah, we have 8 guys, 4 singles matches. We got Ty Dillinger taking on Eric Young. We have Elias Sampson taking on Roderick Strong.
Oney Lorcan versus Bobby Roode.
And Cien Almas taking on No Way Jose. And speaking of No Way Jose, he was actually in our first match, teaming up with his buddy Rich Swann to take on Sanity with Percy Watson at commentary. For those of you that have been watching NXT for longer than the network, you know who Percy Watson is. I'm excited because I like Percy Watson. I'd like to see him back in the ring, but he did pretty good on commentary. He was a decent addition. We don't need a,
He was aight.
We don't need a three-piece and tomb. We don't need a three.
What?
A three-piece and tomb. A 3-person team at commentary for NXT. We
don't need a 3-person team at commentary for any of the shows.
We get enough of that on Raw. And
we went like 10 years with a 2-person team.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we have 4 people on SmackDown.
Luckily, Tom doesn't talk during
Yeah,
matches.
Tom just awkwardly sits there next to JBL unless he's got to do an interview, and then he has to run back down to ringside to sit there. So let's cool it with the commentators, please. Let's just...
By SummerSlam, Raw's going to have an 8-person commentary team.
one for. There's gonna be like they're gonna have all the countries just at one table. It's just gonna be 700.
It's gonna look like the fucking Last Supper.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like 700 voices all at one time in different languages, and it's gonna be really fucking confusing. But anyway, No Way Jose and Rich Swann taking on Sanity. We had
minus one member.
Yeah, Sawyer Fulton
missing.
Not with the group. His jacket was though, and Eric Young showed us how he felt about it as he stomped on the coat, spit on it, and then threw it up the ramp. Okay. So yeah, we had Young and Wolf taking on Rich Swann and No Way Jose. Fun tag team match. I was really disappointed because I really liked the 4-person group of Sanity, and the lack of Sawyer Fulton kind of threw me a little bit, and it was, I don't know, it seemed very incomplete because I was so used to the quartet, if you will. So yeah, we had a good match though. Rich Swann and No Way Jose trying to get revenge for what happened a couple weeks ago while they were still in Canada, and they looked pretty good, except Young and Wolf are just really difficult to read, and so they end up taking the advantage pretty quickly. But Rich Swann ends up getting a hot tag to No Way Jose. Jose's actually, he's running pretty strong here. Ends up taking out Wolf, and then he takes out Eric Young on the outside. Eric Young tries to go for a dive off of the apron and gets the big baseball punch to the face, knocks Eric Young out, and Jose is trying to grab Young to toss him back in the ring and wins. And then he gets attacked from behind by Damo.
Yeah, big Damo.
I thought it was just Bray Wyatt for a second, and it scared me, and then I was like, oh shit, that's not Bray Wyatt, but I know who the fuck that is.
Damo O'Connor.
So,
that's a big, scary mofo.
Unfortunately, Jose then gets tossed back in the ring by Eric Young, hit with the wheelbarrow neckbreaker, and Sanity picks up the win. But then we see that Sanity is terrified of Damo. And Damo, I assumed that he was like the new member to take the place of Sawyer Fulton, but then there was that weird tension between the two. He actually went over and picked up Fulton's jacket and then threw it back down and walked away. And we had a quick, someone was trying to get information from Sanity, what's the deal between you and Big Damo? What's the issue here? We didn't get any answers, but we did get a very awkward and heavy breathing filled stare down between Nikki Cross and Asuka.
Yeah, she got all sorts of giddy. Nikki Cross, I'm talking about. She got all sorts of giddy when she saw the NXT Women's title.
Yeah, it was just sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, that's pretty." And then Asuka was like, "Yeah, that's mine, bitch." And then they just stared at each other. Asuka smiled. Nikki breathed heavy, and it was a really awkward situation we were in.
I was kind of hoping they were going to let that go.
Well, I would
just throw down some mood lighting and some smooth jazz. That's going to go places. Well, I'm sorry. That's going to be worth the price of the network.
Speaking of women's action, we had Ember Moon taking on Kimber Lee.
Damn straight.
Oh, it's so good to see her on NXT. Unfortunately, it's pretty much a one-off. But, hey, it's good to see her. Her and Ember have worked together fucking everywhere, and they were a perfect match for each other.
Yeah.
Some really good chemistry. Just flawless match. Lots of good back and forth. I appreciated that Ember gave Kimber a chance to really run the match a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still Ember Moon. she still hasn't lost a one-on-one match. So she ends up going to the top, hits that twisting stunner, and defeats Kimber Lee. Please, can we get Kimber Lee on NXT? Please.
Yes and no.
Yeah, because then she would be in Chikara. So let's just put her on NXT a few more times. That's all we do. But our main event was the title rematch from Osaka, Japan. We had Shinsuke Nakamura looking to take back the NXT Championship. And if you've been seeing social media for the last 5 days, you know that Shinsuke won this match.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of took me out of it. I kind of wish I didn't know who won, but that's, I mean, there's no way they could have. There's no way they could hide that 5 days removed from the match.
Yeah.
With it being in Japan, and not only it being in Japan, but Shinsuke winning the championship back in his home country.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot that they could hide there. Still a good match, though.
It was a really good match. I just had something I was going to say about it, and I totally lost it.
Yeah, I think for me, like I definitely didn't have anything wrong, any issues with the match. It was just the fact that I already knew the outcome kind of took me out of it. I didn't feel like I was enthralled in the match because I knew what the outcome was.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like this is where Shinsuke was supposed to win the title the first time.
Right. I agree. Yeah, they probably wouldn't do the whole back and forth. But this is a very interesting feud because now we've had 3 different matches in 3 different countries. And now that Shinsuke is the champion, we're going to do it one more time at least.
In Australia.
In Australia next week on NXT as Samoa Joe gets his rematch inside a steel cage.
Holy wow.
So the second ever steel cage match in NXT history is going to have Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe in it.
Samoa Joe's got a pretty decent track record of them steel cage matches.
Yeah, he kind of knows what he's doing. So
Also, if next week's NXT is emanating from Australia or there's any Australian footage, you can almost guarantee to see TM61 along with Peyton Royce and Billy Kay.
absolutely.
All from Australia.
Probably Buddy Murphy too.
Wouldn't be surprised. He's
Yeah.
also from Australia.
Yeah, there's lots
And
of.
Hugh Jackman.
He's not in
No,
NXT,
no.
but
Oh,
I don't know.
my bad.
Maybe.
I get confused sometimes.
I don't know. But that is it for NXT. Let's move on to Lucha Underground. As if
Yeah.
one tournament wasn't enough, let's go and do another one.
Yeah, this one also involves 4 people a lot.
Yeah, but more sets of 4 people because this is Dario's new tournament to decide who is going to be the next #1 contender for the Lucha Underground Championship. This is called the Battle of the Bulls. It's 4 different Fatal 4-Way matches.
Yes.
And those 4 winners go to another Fatal 4-Way match that will be elimination. And the winner of that elimination match will get a shot at Johnny Mundo, potentially. Because Johnny has a lot of people that are coming after him.
He's got a lot of enemies.
One being Angelico. Angelico wants his... wants his revenge for not only being beat up once, but twice. And he wants to take it out on Johnny Mundo. Unfortunately, Johnny's got this restraining order in place, so there's a lot of hoops that Dario has to jump through. But he does give him a shot and says, hey, I'll enter you in the tournament, and if you win, there's nothing the lawyers can do about that. You'll be guaranteed a shot at Johnny Mundo and the Lucha Underground Championship.
And Helico's like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Johnny's not going to need a lawyer after that. He's going to need an undertaker.
Yeah, because that means that Helico's going to kill him. That's murder.
Yeah.
Like, if you weren't already in legal issues with Johnny Mundo...
It's already happened on Lucha Underground. We don't have to worry about it.
That's true. Lawyers don't need to know.
I just think it means we're bound to see Angelico versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 33.
I'm cool with that. Also, we have Sexy Star who wants to get at Johnny Mundo because she should be getting her rematch for the Lucha Underground Championship.
Yeah.
And so Dario makes a match between Sexy Star and PJ Black. He's the only member of the Worldwide Underground that Sexy Star hasn't beaten. So, if Sexy Star can beat PJ Black, not only will she get a title rematch, but that title rematch will be in a steel cage that will keep all... Let's be real, the cage doesn't keep people out, but Dario says that the cage is going to keep the rest of the Worldwide Underground out.
I hope the steel cage goes all the way to the ceiling.
Or it's like the Steel Asylum from TNA.
Oh, God.
But see, people can still get in that because there's a
Yeah.
hole in the top. But if she loses, she will never get another shot at the Lucha Underground Championship.
Well, I hope she doesn't lose.
Well, we'll get to that in a second because we have 2 of those Fatal 4-Way matches to talk about first. Our first one, we had Cage, Tejano, Joey Ryan, and Dr. Wagner Jr. quite the interesting grouping of guys.
If Joey Ryan wins, the tournament's going to be renamed the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, man. Yeah. Joey tried.
He did. Valiant effort.
He didn't amount to very much,
No.
but he tried.
He did.
We still had the beef between Tejano and Cage because they're still in the middle of their best of 5 series. So both of them trying to get a little bit more of...
Which then immediately I thought, well, that negates either of them from actually winning this thing.
Yeah. And that kind of left Dr. Wagner just because he's a Lucha legend. He's kind of the oddball there, and
He's had moderate success on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, so it would make sense to kind of push him forward, and unfortunately, him and Cage are on the receiving end of a double beatdown from Tejano. He's just fucking running shit on these guys.
Yeah.
And he ends up doing just a bunch of moves to Dr. Wagner in the corner, followed by a big drop kick. Wagner is fucking done. He's not going anywhere from here. Joey decides, I'm going to give this one more shot. He gets in the ring, tries to hit a super kick on Tejano, gets blocked. Tejano ends up hitting the sit-out powerbomb on him, but then that gives Cage enough time to get up, toss Tejano out of the ring, and pick up the win over Joey Ryan.
Yeah, he decked him with the rope ripper.
Yeah.
Ripped around his fast.
And then, yeah, this was after Tejano was whipping the shit out of him with the rope earlier in the match.
Sandpaper Snake.
Yeah, Sandpaper Snake. That's a very weird way to...
That's a weird name for a rope.
Yeah. So, Cage is the first of 4 to move on to the finals of the Battle of the Bulls. Before we get to our other match, we did have Officer Reyes, who's still in the sling after Pentagon Dark broke his arm.
Yes.
Returns to Captain Vasquez and says, "Hey, we're pretty much done here. Dario knows everything. He straight up called me a rat and then put me in the match. So I mean, the cover's blown. There's nothing we can do."
She's like, speaking of cover.
Yeah. So once his arm is healed, Officer Reyes is no longer Cortez Castro. He's going in under a mask that vaguely looked like Spider-Man. Also with like a skull spider. Did you see that thing?
Yeah.
It's like a red skull spider like on the top of the mask. So we'll be seeing another luchador making their debut in Lucha Underground in the near future, I would imagine. Right. Oh yeah, I forgot the Sexy Star match was actually before the other Fatal 4-Way. So we'll talk about that now. This was a good match.
It was.
This was probably one of PJ Black's best matches in Lucha Underground, I think.
Well, he doesn't get a lot of time to shine by himself.
Yeah, he's usually within the aura of the Woog. So
yeah, which really bogs him down because Jack Evans.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah. Well, Jack Evans was still here, unfortunately. But that was after a decent amount of wrestling between him and Sexy Star. Great chemistry, a lot of good work between the two of them. Beautiful lion salt by PJ Black, totally awesome. And yeah, it was just really fun to watch. And then, of course, Jack Evans has to come out and stick his fucking nose in his business because...
And his baseball bat.
Yeah, and a baseball bat. It was like a double distraction that he tried to do.
He's like, hey, I'm distracting you, referee. I'm distracting you. Okay, go check out this baseball bat real quick.
Yeah, so the ref turns away from Jack Evans, grabs the baseball bat, and he's getting rid of that, and that allows Jack Evans to grab Sexy Star, and PJ tries to go for a super kick, and ends up kicking Jack Evans off of the apron.
Oh, I'm so sad about that.
And then with the...
Well, I think Evans is like a corkscrew bump off the apron.
Yeah, he sold it. And then in the most delayed reaction pinfall ever, thank you, referee, the double distraction really threw the referee.
It fucked him up.
Because Sexy Star rolls up PJ Black. She's already had him down for like a 2 count before the ref even goes, "Oh yeah," and then starts counting the 3. And then ends up being a pretty quick 3 count. So Sexy Star...
He had to make up for all that time he was wasting.
Exactly. So, yeah, Sexy Star ends up beating PJ Black, so she will get a cage match against Johnny Mundo in her title rematch.
And I feel like the Worldwide Underground won't be so pleased with PJ Black losing that match.
Probably not. And now Sexy Star's officially beaten all 4 members of the Worldwide Underground.
She's the Wug Killer.
Yeah.
The Wug Doctor.
Dr. Wug.
It's a reference to the Rug Doctor. It's a thing that shampoos your carpets.
That's the thing?
Yeah.
Huh. Anything like Ring Doctors?
No. That's a great reality show that never made it off the ground.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Someday it'll get greenlit. I'm sure of it.
Totally. We had a couple of things before our main event. We had Cobra Moon, who apparently is the queen now of this serpent tribe.
Yeah. Why not?
She starts telling the story of.
They seem to make up the rules as they go. So.
Hey, we don't understand Aztec tradition. Maybe that's just the thing. Maybe she already was queen, and we just didn't fucking know. But apparently she is, and she tells the story of their tribe was known throughout the lands. They were the strongest, and then one of their generals ended up leaving them, which caused their fall from grace. That general obviously being Drago, and she is sending 2 of her followers now to go get Drago and make him bow to her. We've got one guy who kind of looks like an offshoot of Drago, and then we've got a guy with
Drago Light.
Yeah, and then we got
It's Prakash Damar without his mask.
Wait, the snake guy?
Yeah. With the hello hair?
Yeah.
That's what Prakash Damar from Chikara, if he pulls his mask off, that's what his face is.
I feel like that's what Ophidian wants to look like.
I think it's more Argus.
Maybe. Isn't he a gecko?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very just face snake mask with
what it
long
reminds
hair.
me of is the alien creatures from
Daniel, chill out, man.
The whatever movie that had Will Ferrell in it.
I I don't like Will Ferrell.
It's like Journey to the Center of the Earth or something like that.
Oh, like the lizard man.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what that guy reminded me of, and I'm
I can see that.
He's kind of cheesy looking.
I can see that. So we should be seeing
Doctor Who villain.
We should be seeing 2 more luchadors appearing in Lucha Underground, going after Drago here pretty soon. So we'll see when that ends up happening. We see Dario go and try and tell Matanza, hey, you should be in my tournament because you get a championship match.
And he's just like, no, I don't want to. I want Rey.
Yeah, I know. Dark's like, I know you want Rey Mysterio. I understand. And so when he comes back from the injuries you left him with, you can get him. But for now, we've got Dragon Azteca Jr. He's in this match. You could go out there and you could take his place, or you could destroy him, or whatever. And I don't even know what the trigger was to all of a sudden make Matanza seem like he was sad and wanted to be consoled by Dario.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but he just he all of a sudden reached out real slow and put his hand around the back of Dario's neck and was just trying to calm himself down, but it was all a fucking ruse so he could bash Dario's skull into the bars and steal the key, and so now Matanza's on the fucking loose. So
That's scary.
yeah, that's not a thing you want happening. So we go to our second Fatal 4-Way match. We have Mil Muertes, Marty the Moth, Dragon Azteca Jr., and
The Mac.
Did I already say Mil Muertes?
Yes.
Alright, my bad. The Mac is the other one. Thought I said that one first. So, Dragon Azteca Jr., fucking oddball in this match.
Skinny boy.
Yeah.
In this match.
Yeah, he's given up a lot of weight to these 3 guys.
He needs to be asking, where's the beef?
Immediately, all 3 guys start going after Mil Muertes. They're trying to take him out immediately. He's fucking throwing them all off, just beating the shit out of all of them.
Yep. Katrina's not pleased with this.
No. Katrina is very focused on this match. And somewhere in the match, it seemed like Muertes hurt his arm or something, because that ended up being a focal point, and then he was actually kind of he was really selling it towards the end once things were starting to break down. And So Dragon Azteca Jr. is actually getting some momentum here, which is ridiculous. And he's about to totally beat Marty the Moth. He hits him with a 450, and then instead of pinning him...
You mean Mil Muertes?
Was it Mil Muertes?
Yes.
That's right, Marty the Moth was the one that screwed this up.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are you going to 450 Mil Muertes and then decide, I want to do it again?
Well, he's going to go for something completely different.
Yeah, he was going for...
Because he went up backwards.
I was assuming like a double moonsault, which would have been cool. But instead, Marty the Moth ends up...
No, Matanza came out and powerbombed him off
right.
the top rope on
I
Mil
can't
Muertes.
read my notes.
Your notes are screwing you up right now.
Okay.
Matanza comes out and powerbombs Dragon Azteca Jr. onto Mil Muertes.
Which I almost thought he was going to win by being destroyed and like laying on top of
Dario comes out of nowhere and is clutching a towel to his head, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, because his face got bashed into a bar.
And he somehow just lures Matanza out of the ring with the key.
Yeah, the key... Matanza is just triggered by very strange things.
He's like a cat. It's like a cat toy. He's like, hey.
There's the key. There's the Red Bull in Dario's office.
Wings.
No, it's because he bashed his mother's skull in with
it. That one.
And then whatever Dario said to... I don't know. Matanza's a strange dude.
And then Marty the Moth tried to go in and pick up the scraps.
Yeah, that
The Mac didn't let him.
No.
The Mac tried to stun Marty the Moth. Marty the Moth pushed him off.
Yep.
And then ran off the ropes and still got stunned anyways.
Yeah, he did a running stunner.
Yeah, it was like a running sideways.
If you combine an RKO and a Stone Cold Stunner, that's pretty much what we got.
Called it the cross country stunner.
That's cool. I dig it.
Or maybe it was Striker. One of them called it that.
One of them. So yeah, the Mac ends up picking up the win, and he's heading to the finals with Cage.
Yeah, and they had a big rivalry in the first season of Lucha Underground.
Yeah, they ended up having the Falls Count Anywhere, I think. The first Ultima Lucha. So, so they've got a little bit of history, and I'm sure we don't know exactly when this Fatal 4-Way is going to take place. I'm sure we'll probably get our other two Fatal 4-Ways next week, and so it'll probably be either the week after or maybe somewhere close to Ultima Lucha, because I'm sure we're actually probably closing in on that.
Ultima Lucha Trace.
Yeah. Tournaments and cages were the theme of this week's midweek wrap-up.
Yeah. Huh. Go figure.
Well, that's it for the midweek wrap-up, though. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Also, click all the links down in the description. Social medias, we got podcasts.
We got a lot of social medias.
We got this review along with our Indie News Raw review and Tuesday Night Live.
Hey.
Brand new video-ish.
It's the same thing, but we added 205 Live.
Shh, don't tell them the secret.
Yeah, and you can find all those over in the playlist.
Yep. Or if you're on mobile, you'll find them down there in the playlist.
Yeah.
You'll also find other videos over on Reasonable Wrestling Fans.
That's reasonable with a W.
Like wrestling.
Oh, yeah, that word has a W in it, too.
It does. You'll find our YouTube videos. You'll find our punishment videos, which you'll be seeing one go up very soon, as I'm going to be getting chopped by professional wrestlers here very soon. So look forward to that. Check out the other videos there. Check out all the videos here. But for now, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next.
Yeah. Fuck Jack Evans.
Percy Watson. Oh, yeah.